pressure's so high, hiding moonlight, hiding behind my tired eyes. Coffee's cold, the silence loud. I want my pain like a winter shroud. Some days I feel like I can't fly. Other days I feel so fragile. Shattered. Today I feel like shattered. So I choose someone who could fly. Every mirror cracked a little more. Every step heavier than before. I reached for light but found the gray. Just one of those paper soul days. Some days I feel like I can't fly. Other days I feel so fragile. Shattered. Days I feel shattered. So I choose someone who could fly. But I picked up my pencil, scratched the page, gave wings to a figure outside the cage. A heroine born from all our life, drawn strength I can't get back. Some days I feel like I can't fly. Other days I feel so fragile. So I choose someone who could fly. Maybe I break so I can bend. Maybe the cracks let the light in. I'm not always strong, but I am weak. And that's the kind of power to feel. Some days I feel like I can't fly. The other days I feel so fragile. Shattered. Today's the day I'm shattered. So I choose someone who could fly. For a moment I could touch the sky. Lifted from these feelings I could fly. When life again comes around to drag me down, I reach for my pencil and turn it around. Feels like I'm living in a country song. With everything in life going wrong. Been down and out for far too long. Feels like I'm living in a country song. I thought I'd dance my last with poverty. I'd finally made it out and broken free. Now a pile of debts is staring back at me. Try paying with IOUs from friends and family. Feels like I'm living in a country song. With everything in life going wrong. Been down and out for far too long. Feels like I'm living in a country song. I'm losing my home, family's moving soon. I've got 3 weeks till the 1st of June. No idea where I'm gonna find us a room. Credit's trash, the bill collector's suing. Feels like I'm living in a country song. Everything in life going wrong. Been down and out for far too long. Feels like I'm living in a country song. It's gonna take a miracle to find a place. It's gonna take a miracle to find a place. Feels like I'm living in a country song, with everything in life going wrong, and down and out for far too long. Feels like I'm living in a country song. I know when destruction comes our way, it's clearing out what doesn't need to stay. There's always gonna be a delay between when we receive and when we pray. But Lord, I just got to say, feels like I'm living in a country song, with everything in life going wrong, and down and out for far too long. Feels like I'm living in a country song. Lord, if this is you preparing ground, please show me there's hope to be found. I'm praying someday my life will rebound. Until then, keep me safe and sound. Feels like I'm living in a country song, with everything in life going wrong, and down and out for far too long. Feels like I'm living in a country song. Oh, I'm living in a country song. Oh, I'm living in a country song. Tempted by your devil's kiss, promising unending bliss, drag me into an abyss. Hypnotized by your eyes, desire you can't disguise, seduced by your lies. Tempted by your devil's kiss, promising unending bliss, drag me into an abyss. What felt so good to start is shattering my heart. Loving you's a dying art. Tempted by a devil's kiss, promising unending bliss, drag me into an abyss. No string sounds fun, loving on the run, till you're the lonely one. Tempted by a devil's kiss, promising unending bliss, drag me into an abyss. My heart is cold as ice, you're my greatest vice. I keep paying the price. I'm addicted to your devil's kiss and you. What do I do? I'm addicted to your devil's kiss and you. What do I do? I know I must break free before I lose the best of me. End this living purgatory. Tempted by a devil's kiss, promising unending bliss, drag me into an abyss. I've got news for you, I'm ready for something new. I know what I've got to do. Goodbye, devil's kiss. Goodbye, fire kiss. Heartbreaks I won't miss. I know what I've got to do. Goodbye, devil's kiss. lover's kiss. Goodbye.
I didn't want you to walk away, but I won't force you to stay. I never want you to regret the day we met, and so I won't betray the trust we built, so I'll just say, no matter where you run, no matter where you hide, no matter what you've done, my love for you will still abide. You'll remain my only one. I'll keep a place for you by my side. Whenever you need me, I'll be around. No matter how far, wherever you're found, my love will be waiting, safe and sound. You've nothing to fear.
That's right, everybody. It is 2:00 p.m. on the nose. Timeliness being next to godliness, we are about to switch on live so that you guys can see my screen, because it is time to get started with writing and chatting. Now, you guys are the fortunate winners who showed up. And so that means you get to be my poor guinea pigs. Yes, that's my sound effect for a guinea pig. So, here's the deal. You who have showed up get to be characters in this story that we are going to be co-creating together. So, we're going to get started. And the one thing I want you to do for me is take the biggest and most impossible problem in your life that you currently face, and I want you to type it in the chat, because that is where our story is going to begin for you as your character. Now, we'll have a cooperative story, an overarching story that brings all of our characters together. So we'll have a problem that we face together, but each character in the story will have its own problem that it faces. So your problem is your character's problem. And yes, I do expect participation. It would help. I mean, I can create these all by myself. I don't technically need your help, but I would love your participation. I think it'll make it a lot more fun for everyone. Give you about 5 minutes to come up with a problem that you're going to put in chat. And the trick is to make it something that seems almost impossible to solve. And if you're not comfortable putting an actual problem that you face, pick something that you know somebody else faces and choose that. And we'll begin to show you the magic of writing and how writing can actually help you. Yeah, financial issues. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Let's say that money's off the table. You can create any life that you want with a magic wand. What problem is the finances needed to solve? We have a relationship issue, mending a friendship. That's one problem. Oh, I get you. Driving is difficult. Driving does make typing difficult, and You might be able to switch on AI chat, but I don't know if you're using that, so maybe not. And yes, Ubi, I require your participation too. You don't get exempt just because you're my spouse. We're going to look for 9 different problems that we're going to be solving over the course of our writing. So just toss them out there. And if you had the money, what problem is the money supposed to be solving? I don't let anybody off the hook. You are all guinea pigs in my experimental lab. Oh, it's too much fun. I'll give you one problem that I'm facing right now. That seems just about impossible to solve. Ooh, yeah. Bills and guitars, I get that. Yeah. Let's put that up there. Just, you know. Let's see, is the guitar problem that you don't have a guitar that you want, or that a guitar is broken and needs to be fixed, or when we say bills and guitars, we need to be a little more specific on that one. Or at least it's easier if we can be more specific. I can make up a problem for you. Yes, heavy wears the crown. You don't even have to wear a crown for life to feel kind of heavy. And when the money stretches so thin, it can just feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. I think that's a problem that a whole lot of people can empathize with and sympathize with, which means that our story is going to appeal to a lot of people. They're going to want to see, how does this person solve this problem? Yes, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And that's kind of a reference to how much responsibility you take on when you're in a position of leadership. Because all eyes are turned toward you. And everybody's watching what you do. Yeah, you want a guitar? Okay, so yeah. Yeah, Jesse, I get that. Yep, yep. See, that's Malachi, that's why I do this, is because, believe it or not, writing is actually one of the ways that I stay positive. I take the problems that I face and I use my writing to think of crazy ways that I could potentially solve them with just what I have. And it doesn't always work the way that I envision, but it gives me a place to start. It lets my imagination sort of go crazy with all the possibilities that are out there. And then sometimes I end up inevitably solving the problem. You know, it never solves it the way I expected it to, but so we've got mending a friendship. We've got finding my mother a place to live. Ooh, here's another problem that I know about. I won't say that it's mine, but I do know about the problem. Yes, Malachi. That's something that I think a lot of people can. So here we need one more problem. And Ubi hasn't contributed a problem for me. Such a disappointment. Oh my goodness. So, just judging. Oh, yeah. That's a relatable one. Okay, so that's 9 problems. That gives us 9 character problems to solve, which means we are actually ready to kind of start our process here. I am missing a bar. Ooh, yeah. Malachi, I feel for you, bro. If not for our son, we would be without a vehicle as well. I think all of these things can be summarized as stressed out. Too stressed out to enjoy life. That's the big problem that we've got that we're going to be solving throughout the whole of the story. And you know the mistake that I think that we make that keeps us stressed out? The one that we keep making over and over and over again? Is trying to tackle all our problems on our own because we don't know how to get the help we need. Sometimes we've got family that shames us for having the problems in the first place. Sometimes we've got a past that created those problems for us, and we're ashamed of that past, so it's hard to open up and admit to having it. Sometimes it's a situation where the local resources that we have just aren't adequate to covering what we need. And sometimes it's not knowing who to turn to. Yeah. And yeah, I hear you, puppy. All right. And the truth that we have to realize is that we can't do these things all on our own. We need each other. So the solution ends up being to find the right community and get involved in it. Because not just any community. I mean, when I was growing up, I used to think community could be summed up as the Cheers theme song. A place where people were always, everybody knew your name and they were always glad you came, right? That was community as far as I knew when I was growing up. But that's not really community. Community is when, and I learned this being part of Worldwide Marriage Encounter and seeing it in action. Community is when you have a group of people that show up for each other through thick and through thin, through everything. I'm sorry to hear that, Malachi. Sometimes people have trouble forgiving things, and that makes keeping a community together difficult, because this is the truth about life, about human beings, and about human nature. We're all going to screw it up. At some point in time, we are all going to mess up a relationship. We're all going to end up hurting somebody, not even necessarily on purpose. Sometimes it's something we did and it got misinterpreted, or something we did and it stepped on a toe that we didn't even know was there. And so, yeah, at any given point in time, we're all going to mess it up. We're all going to make a mistake. We're all going to hurt the people we care about most. And if the community cannot forgive and keep forgiving, then the community falls apart. Well, yes, humans can be the worst at times, but they can also be the best at other times. You know, we all have the capacity to be both the best and the worst. I mean, I can tell you personally, there are times when I am a truly terrible person. And I'm not proud of that fact. And I wish that I weren't. But it's the truth. Now, for every solution, right? Just knowing the solution is not enough to actually implement it. Anytime you're trying to implement a solution, you have obstacles that you're going to have to overcome. The first part of the book, the first quarter of it, is you getting to this point where you realize that truth, right? This is I guess you can divide it into thirds. So the first third of a story is just you getting from the problem to the point where you recognize the truth, that whatever that truth is, where you figure out your mistake, you recognize the truth, and then you go on the hunt for the solution. And the hunt for the solution is its own story, right? That's the second part of the book. And then the last half of the book, really, is you overcoming the obstacles, or the main character, I guess, if you want to think about it like that. The main character overcoming the obstacles that stand in their way. If I can spell obstacle, that would be good. To get to the point. Yeah. You've been overcoming obstacles your whole life, Malachi. Everybody has been overcoming obstacles their entire life. Now, these obstacles prepare you for this last part of the story. And the last part of the story, so I guess you can divide it into quarters, because first quarter of the book is the problem, the mistake, and the truth. The next part of the book is finding the solution, that search for it. Then you got to overcome the obstacles. And finally, the obstacles have a purpose. They strengthen the character so that they can make that final showdown with them and the main bad guy of the story. And that sometimes that bad guy is an interior bad guy. It has nothing to do with somebody else. But then you get the results and it transforms your life. And this is actually true about everybody's life. This is how people move through problems. So finding the right community is first having the courage to look for a community. Showing up in that community regularly. Wow. Yeah, some people expect you to just know what you did wrong, which is grossly unfair, considering that none of us are mind readers. But it's a real problem. It's a real problem. And some people just aren't inclined to forgive, and some people take time to forgive and take time for their hearts to soften, and even when you try your best. And the third obstacle is learning how to serve. And I only know these steps to getting to be part of a community and really integrated with it because of the lessons that I learned about community from a retreat group that I became part of in 2008, and then the Worldwide Marriage Encounter community. They taught us a lot about how to be part of it and how to step up, and 20 years of fun playing around, 37 years old, got a son. That day I told I've lived enough for myself. Then we got a daughter 3 years later. Yeah, when kids come along, it is so different. And yeah, I get that, Jessie. Balancing between your own needs and the things that truly matter. Yeah, Malachi, I agree. Ted is an awesome guy to reach out to. He knows a lot about having made mistakes in relationships and then having to go back and fix them. Relationships are so critical to life because love is the foundation of all of our needs, really. And and the results, when community works well, what happens is that you get to come together to do something big that none of us could do on our own. And it transforms everybody's life. Hey, Timothy, good to see you. No worries that you can't stay long, man. I'm just glad you're here. We are just sketching the outline of our story that we're going to be co-writing together. And it starts with the problem that we face, the mistake, the truth, the solution, the obstacle, the results, and the transformation. Oh, yeah, Jesse. Well, I do appreciate you stopping by. I understand if it's almost midnight where you are and you got kids to take care of. That makes it rough to stick it out. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. And these 9 problems belong to the 9 characters that our story is going to be, that are going to be interwoven into the story. So there are character archetypes. So here's the hero, the sidekick, and we'll be using the problems that we listed out to plug in play. Stars play in a couple of hours. It's preseason, but it's actual NHL hockey. Yes. The hero, the sidekick. And I'll explain what each of these mean. You know, the hero is your main character. They're the person facing this big problem of being too stressed out to enjoy life. And they're probably also facing another one of these problems, and we'll pick it on later. I think for the convenience of the plot, we'll have the hero be facing the problem of mending a friendship. And the sidekick is the person that the hero, it's really the face of their dream. The hero's got a dream, got a thing that they want, or a dream that they've got, and the sidekick is the face of that dream. So in this case, it's probably the friend that they upset. And maybe that friend is facing this problem. They're feeling stretched thin, like they don't have enough butter, and they're being spread over thin toast. Right? So they're stressed out, which is actually probably what really is causing the problem of the friction between the hero and the sidekick. Hey, Brian! No worries. No worries. You had to drop off some Jersey mics to the wife, huh? Oh, totally understand that. All right. And then there's the herald, which is the person that has a problem that... So this is where it comes in. The herald's problem is they're trying to find their mother a place to live, and it's looking pretty close to grim. There's a negative shapeshifter. Now, negative shapeshifters, here's how that works. The negative shapeshifter is somebody that the hero trusts, but they shouldn't, because they're not offering good advice. They think they are, but because they're making this mistake, because that's the social wisdom, is that you should handle your problems all by yourself, the negative shapeshifter isn't really able to offer good advice. So let's say that the negative shapeshifter of the story is facing the problem of getting their past due taxes caught up and paid off, and they're embarrassed and ashamed to admit that they've even gotten themselves in that situation. So they don't really want to admit it. They're trying to pass themselves off as being better off than they really are. So then we have our positive shapeshifter. And this is a person who should be listened to by the hero of the story, but because of their status in society, because of certain factors in their life, maybe their past, they're not really somebody that the community takes seriously. They're not somebody that people tend to listen to because they defy social expectations. So this is a person who needs a vehicle and doesn't have the credit or the money to get one. Ooh! You coming back around to California next May? That'll be awesome. Yeah, we might be able to come out then. Gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is the person who has the truth that the hero needs to accept, and confronting the gatekeeper is how they find it. And the gatekeeper has this problem. They're trying to find a way to get the heat back on before the cold sets in. If anyone here owns a plane, send a DM. I need a ride. Hey, I hear ya. Hey, it's Warheart Arts. Yay! Yes, there are a bunch of guitar geeks in here. Hey, 2 Yards. Good to see you, man. And then, you know, Malachi, as soon as we get a car and or tickets to ride a train up your direction, we will head that way. So then there's also, after the gatekeeper, there's, let's see, we got our hero, our sidekick. The herald is the one who forces the hero to confront their problem. Usually through their own problem. 4, the negative shapeshifter. 5, our positive shapeshifter. 6, our gatekeeper. 7, the minion. Our friendly little minion has this problem. They are trying desperately to keep their little bills paid with too little money. Our villain is also running into a problem, and they want to buy a guitar but keep coming up short on the bills. Now, the funny thing is, I want to tell you this truth about villains. Villains are not the person that you're facing off against. The villain just kind of echoes the fear that the hero is facing and forces the hero to confront that fear in order to move forward. I am missing somebody. Who am I missing? The hero, the herald. Because you gotta have your hero, you gotta have your herald, you gotta have your sidekick, because otherwise they won't care. Ah, the mentor. Ha ha ha. Very important character. You know what? We'll change this. We'll do this. The villain actually shows you your fear. There we go, and there's our 9 characters. The problems they face anyway. If you save your money, someday you will be a millionaire. Now, saving money alone will not make you a millionaire. I just want to let you know that, 2 Yards. But if you take that money and you invest it in something, then you might be able to become a millionaire. And the best person to invest in is yourself, usually. Yeah, in a sense, the villain is also the shadow of the hero, because they're solving often a similar problem to the hero, but in the wrong way. But they're also there to confront the hero's greatest fear, which is why it's important that they exist at all. And I'm not making anybody in this chat, please understand, nobody who offered a problem is the actual villain or bad guy of the story. We just got these because they're kind of archetypes that will appear in the story. Sometimes the villain that you think is the villain at the beginning of the story proves to be a good guy in the end. It was your interpretation that made them the villain. And that can be sometimes the surprise shifting way of changing things. So we need names for our little heroes. Who wants to give me a first and last name for our hero? You guys can put suggestions for the names for these, because obviously it's not going to be very effective if we don't have some names running around there. So we need to name our characters. Iron Cage. Okay. Well, all right. That is a very unique name. I guarantee you that nobody else in the writing community is going to have taken that. Mortis, huh? You know what? Maybe his first name is Mortis, and his nickname is Iron Cage. Because maybe his last name is Cage, and then so yeah, people who know him call him the Iron Cage. That would be kind of funny, actually. Kind of like that idea. It would make him a very unique guy. Very memorable. And yeah, let's say that these are all members of a guitar community. An online guitar community. Tomatin Hill. Oh, I like that. That's a cool name. Hawkeye. Okay. Do you have a last name for Mr. Hawkeye? All right. Well, Death's problem is... All right. Death is facing the problem of not enough time to prepare the house for winter. That's an interesting problem for Death to have. You don't want to see the Grim Reaper trying to prepare his house for winter. I don't know. Doesn't the Grim Reaper live in hell? Would that mean that hell's gonna freeze over? Oh, that's funny. Nah, don't put a comment there without me. You can expect me to take it seriously. Maybe that's a nickname. Ah, Tomatin is a scotch you drink. Well, you know, it's a good name. Works well for me. Oh, let's see. So, based on their problem, I can tell a little bit about their personalities already, so. Our little Hawkeye friend who has so much trouble forgiving. 14 years, isn't it past the expiration date? No, there is no expiration date for scotch. Are you kidding? Bacteria won't touch that stuff. Well, I am glad you did, Malachi. I am certainly glad that I could provide. You gotta remember, every problem has a solution. We may not like the solution all the time, but it does exist if we can find it. Exactly. Alcohol gets stronger with age. Strong enough to beat you up, take you out back and beat you to within an inch of your life. But hey. All right, give me some more names, guys. Come on, help me out here. This is our story. We're writing it together. You got partial responsibility for performance. Don't leave me hanging. Oh, nice. A drum machine arriving on Monday, huh? That's pretty cool. Got anything planned with it already, or is it just for playing around with? Haha, that's... Yeah, Seymour Duncan, that's funny. Alright, we'll use that. I want to be careful when I'm writing out a story that I don't use too many of the same first names or same last names with starting D. Yeah, hopefully creating better content. I hear you. I'd like to create better content too. Actually, I was watching a video earlier today on basically a 90-day YouTube challenge that I'm gonna try in terms of that. Ooh, Nomad. Let's give that to him. Well, Malachi, you belong to a community, and this community is known for people who like to help each other succeed. So, it's possible that you could find some help within the community to do the editing as you work toward learning to do it. I am not that good at editing myself. I'm gonna have to get better. Ooh, yes. Hot date with your girl. That's always good. I encourage those things. Let's see. Anybody else got recommendations for names? We are working on the last 3 set of names that we need. You're terrible on the computer? Yeah, I'm not terrible. I'm nowhere near as good as Ubi. There's a lot of people. Ooh, Chase, yeah. You know what? Let's do this. Chase, and his last name can be Gunner. Arr. Got a nice little mix of names so far. We've got Armstrong. Give it an Armstrong last name. And not mixing letters. Michael. That's a good one. Well, we already have a Mortis, so let's... Well, he goes... Yeah, so we want to be careful about that. How about... And now we got an H. Stanley. We got an S name already. Like I said, we want to be careful about not having... This is something that beta readers have told me gets confusing for them when people have the same letter name. They tend to get the names mixed up, so we want to make sure that that doesn't happen in our story. Yeah, later. Ha! Roach. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably a cool... Well, he is the minion, so... Alright, now, for our friend Death. Pierce. I like that. We'll give him something. So they're setting that where they initially meet is that online guitar community. And they live all over the world, so they're not in one location. And now we get to outline their stories. And you guys are going to get to help me with this. Like I said, I kind of want this to be a co-creation. I don't want to do it all on my own. I could, I just don't want to. Because I think it's more fun if it's interactive. So, let's say... We'll give him a nickname of Death. I mean, why not, right? You know? He's like, I don't know, kind of got a kicker to it. Makes it interesting, right? Death and showing up in your chat room. And the truth, and sometimes, you end up being the one who just happens to stumble across something they haven't healed. And so that's why they can't forgive, because they haven't forgiven that past incident. And so they can't forgive anyone who stumbles across it. And so, oh, no worries. I get you. I get you. Thanks for stopping by, puppy. Or as Randy calls you, I think that's Brother Ed, right? Yeah. And so our final resolution is going to be that he comes through and because his solution is just continue there, being there and showing up for him. His resolution is that his friend finally breaks down and admits to the past that caused the problem. And the transformation, the friendship mends and is stronger than ever. So that's the basic story arc for our main hero, Mortis there. Now it's time to put together the story arc for Tomatin Hill. Woohoo! Gotta find his mother a place to live. Let's see. What mistake is he making? Ooh. Yeah. So, the truth he's gotta realize. First obstacle, she's a very opinionated woman who has no hesitation about sharing exactly what she thinks about our little friend Tomatin at every chance she gets. Obstacle 2, she doesn't approve of his lifestyle or his friends. Obstacle 3. Let's see. So she's often quite critical of him and his emotional health and mental health aren't the greatest. So that doesn't help anything. Let's see. Yeah, at this point in time, his mom is certainly not making herself very lovable. Let's give her a name. No, Evelyn Hill. Not making herself all that lovable. And let's see, what's the last obstacle to him loving her where she is? Okay, but he's gonna overcome this, and he's gonna go ahead and take her in. He learns to accept her weaknesses, and through that, accept his own. Transformation. He has peace when she passes away. And discovers that he doesn't need to punish himself for other people's failure to love him. And there we go. Now, obviously, he's a guy, so Not all of this is going to be spoken, but there we go. The beast Mortis, yes. Our Mortis, who has the beginning of the story and most of it. But everybody's got their own role in it. So Hawkeye's over here feeling stretched out. His mistake is overcommitting himself and taking on and saying yes to too much. Out of a fear of displeasing others. Truth is one man with only 24 hours a day and a limited life to get things done. He can't do everything. So even though the solution, set boundaries, and learn to love the word no. This is actually something that tends to be easier for guys to do than girls, but, you know, there you go. Obstacle 1, he feels guilty for not being able to do it all. Worries he'll lose friends. He says no. Let's see. Hates to disappoint other people. He enjoys helping people and doesn't want to chase people away. But he could help. Yeah. Our villain is Death down here, but he'll show up in the way that he reacts to Mortis here. So this is our sidekick character, the friend that is having trouble forgiving Mortis, Hawkeye. And I'm guessing that what probably happened is that he tried to help Malachi and it wasn't either, it wasn't helped well or something like that. iPad app question. You have a recommendation for an app that can convert when you're handwriting in the iPad to print? Good question. I haven't actually looked into that, but I sure can. I'll get back to you on that later, Brian. You might try a digital stylus. I don't know. I'm sure there are apps out there doing that. And you're not an interruption or a derailment. Oh. Yeah. he often feels underappreciated and taken advantage of by those he helps because he's not good at setting his own boundaries. Results. He learns, he discovers the real problem he had with Mortis isn't what Mortis did, but the struggle he had in setting boundaries for himself. And transformation, the two are able to reconcile, and their relationship becomes healthier. I always like to give a positive ending if I can. Yeah. All right. So the mistake on this. Oof. It's tough when, thinking money is the only way to solve that problem. You've got skills and other things you can trade to get anything you want in life. Find out what person who has the guitar you want values and needs, and show up ready to serve. You really hate typing? It's worse than a fretboard? Oh my. I actually don't mind typing. Typing doesn't bother me. I do like using freehand regular drawing or regular writing when I'm coming up with concepts and ideas, just because it accesses more portions of the brain, and so it actually makes brainstorming easier. Okay, so the results, you strike a deal, he strikes a deal. You freehand write better than you type? I think a lot of people do, actually. There's some people, though, whose freehand writing is cryptic. Doctors would be proud. All right, so that's how we're going to have our mentor. He's the one who's going to help. Oop, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. So that's our mentor character. In his situation. I guess I should color code these guys, because that's our primary. That's our herald. Our sidekick. Sidekicks are very important characters. They kind of serve as the conscience of your main character and keep them grounded and on track with who they want to be. And that's even true when the relationship is strained, maybe especially then, because it causes them to think about what happened and to reevaluate how they're currently living life. All right. Now we got our Seymour Duncan, the negative shapeshifter. He's got past due taxes, and you got to get them caught up and paid off. So the mistake is pretending they didn't exist, hoping they would just go away. Yes, you do. You need a sidekick. It gives the hero motivation to keep going when things get tough and they'd really rather quit it. Like I said, our friend Seymour here is dealing with the shame of having let his financial situation get so bad. He doesn't really want to admit he needs help. Feels like it will ruin his reputation. People find out the truth. He's got other financial troubles that his back taxes are preventing him from accessing government help to solve. Scope 3, 4, all right. He can't afford a lawyer, but is worried he needs one. He's afraid of going to jail. Real facts, man. Now, because he does with this, he does his solution. He researches program that can help put up back on track. Gets going with the fresh start program and gets his taxes in order. And the transformation. Yes, R was yesterday. He's able to open up to the group and admit he doesn't have it all together. which starts making him more human. Most of us live life believing that we gotta have it all together for people to accept us, and the truth is that we're not really comfortable being friends with people who have it all together, because none of us actually do. All right. Mistake. Yes, that's true. Yesterday was International Talk Like a Pirate Day. What day is it today, Ubi? What is our special day of the day? There's always something. Oh, you know, I have an idea. All right. Her mistake is the same as Graham's. She thinks money's the only way to solve that problem. So they're kind of actually, you know what? I'm gonna say that Lauren and Graham are actually probably together. Or Lauren's getting help. I get it. No, Lauren's the one who figured it out. Who figured out that money was not the only way to solve that problem. She passed that on to Graham. And Graham's the one who's going to kind of help clue in our hero. So... should not have the money to get one. But she's a good guitarist, so... No, her mistake. Here we go. We're going to change that. So, Lauren's, we're going to make her the singer of the group. Ben. Oh, yes, Ubi. Don't talk because your throat is sore from talking like a pirate yesterday. Okay, I get you. Let's see. Two. She's shy about her talents and doesn't have a large YouTube channel to leverage. She's relatively unknown in the industry and has little experience making these kinds of deals. So she knows she can do it, she just doesn't quite know how. Let's see, obstacle 4. Let's see. The economy is tight, and the marketing opportunities are shrinking. Obstacle 5. They want her have a minimum of 10,000 subscribers, or they'll consider a deal. More than 10 times, more than 100 times the amount of subscribers she's got. Results. Secure a sponsorship for a car rental place and travel for them in exchange for the vehicle. That's how she's going to solve it. And transformation, 3 wheels, or music deal. Plus her gas, insurance, and TTL are all covered through the sponsorship. That's our best case scenario. We're gonna dream big, right? Why not? Alright, so Chase Gunner, our gatekeeper, has the problem that he's got to find a way to get his heat turned back on before the cold sets in. It's kind of a time-sensitive issue, and he's not necessarily comfortable talking to the group about it because he doesn't want them to pity him. He doesn't realize many of them are in the same boat he is. A benefit concert that helps all the community with their financial challenges. First obstacle, getting people to buy tickets to virtually unheard of obstacle 2, spreading the word about the concert. Yeah, we've been there, Malachi, and still are. You know, I spent a lot of my life being looked down on for my financial trouble. I've got a brother who's a millionaire, literally a millionaire, who told me because of my financial challenges, some people matter, some people don't. You can guess which category he thought I fit into. We've got another brother who virtually wrote me off and to this day won't speak to me, so, you know, I get it. I hate feeling like people pity me because I know I'm capable of great things, but sometimes my finances don't reflect that thing. Spreading the word about the concert, getting publicity and interest for the individuals who are participating. Obstacle 4. Yeah, it is messed up. It is very messed up. Now, I will say the brother that wrote that told me some people are worth it and some people aren't isn't somebody that was raised with me. He was actually given up for adoption when he was a baby. So we didn't meet until I was 42. And that was 7 years ago. So he didn't get raised around us. And he didn't have to go through all the things that we went through because of it. He was given to an affluent family, and so he got raised as essentially a trust fund baby. Which, you know, I don't envy that though, because my background is part of what makes me me, and I actually kind of like me, so I wouldn't be who I am without that background, as rough as it was. So I have no real regrets on that. Ensuring that the funds are distributed appropriately and fairly to every participant. You know, it's tempting to distance myself from family that doesn't look well on us or kindly on us because of our financials. But what I realized is that they have a kind of poverty in their mentality that they don't recognize. And I wouldn't want somebody to distance themselves from me because of my poverty, so I don't want to distance somebody else because of theirs. Spiritual poverty is a real thing. Leads to a spiritual bankruptcy and makes it very hard for you to love people because you are counting them in terms of what's in their bank account. And that's kind of sad to me. Yeah, definitely still pray for them. Believe me, prayer is so powerful. And it's not that prayer changes everything overnight, or that prayer may ever change them, but it certainly helps to change you. And it makes your life better. So, and if that's the only person that improves out of it, it's definitely worth it. So, let's see. We're working to ensure that funds are distributed appropriately and fairly to every participant, and being totally transparent so that money doesn't become a source of disruption in the community. Yep. Results. Every community member participates, is lifted up, and celebrated. Transformation. Financial problems dissolve, or at least get resolved. And the group becomes closer to one another. People who are given things don't know how to work. Yeah. Well, I will say my brother has a really strong work ethic. I think his father expected him to work on the boat that he had. So he wasn't really, I would say, given things. But, you know, at least growing up. But he certainly developed an attitude of his money makes him a better person than other people. And anybody who measures themselves by their money won't have anything left when the money goes away. And I feel sorry for him because he's really setting himself up for a lot of heartbreak down the road. Oh, you're behind in the live. That's okay. There's still time to catch up. Okay, so Roach over here, the minion, mistake. Keeping the beetles paid with too many money. His mistake is going to be trading relationships to try and get the money by engaging in by conning people. There we go. And I put this in here as a cautionary tale because not because I'm better than this person, but because when I was younger, looking back on my life, a lot of times I was so worried about getting money that I didn't realize that relationships are so much more valuable than money. So I would trade on my relationships and not always be the most honest about how I handled them. All right. You know, when you're in a position of disability and you're struggling to provide, it can be very demeaning and very and feel very ugly on the inside. Yep, Malachi, that's exactly it. And you do what you can to bring in what you need, and sometimes it's not enough. And but that's not the same. I think that in our society we tend to look at people and judge them by their bank accounts, and that's money is a tool, and it's appropriately used to measure just two things. First is the amount of trust you've earned that you can deliver a given result. And the second is the amount of trust that the other person has, or the amount of commitment the other person has to getting that result. And it's all it was ever built to do was evaluate those two things, but we've turned it into a tool to evaluate each other's worth, which is a completely wrong-headed way of using money, and very ineffective, because even a disabled person has greater wealth within them to offer society than they could tap into in a lifetime. People don't trust him. Shocker. People are skeptical of him. He always in a bad mood, which doesn't make it easier. What other obstacles might our little roach face? Oh, she's always complaining. There we go. Yeah, it's an interesting thing I was thinking about the other day is that when I was roughly 6 years old, that's when they started rolling out the stranger danger programs at school. And I sat back and I thought about that and I realized, man, no wonder nobody trusts anybody. If you think about it, our society has literally programmed children from the age of 6 onward to not trust anybody that they don't know. So stranger danger has been drilled into our heads. And then we wonder why we have a hard time forming relationships. Plus, it doesn't help anything that the media is constantly being exposed for having deceived us. Government officials, we don't even expect to trust our politicians anymore. We expect them to lie to us and deceive us. In fact, I was joking the other day that, if we ever did have a politician who was honest and upright, Congress would immediately denounce him, saying that's not how things are done here. It's like, we just cannot. We've kind of lost our way. JFK died for a lot of reasons, actually. One of which is that he wanted to kill the Federal Reserve Bank, and, that's a crime that's punishable by death in many people's eyes. I don't know. There's a lot of things wrong with the world today. All right. So what's death's big deal? We are coming down to the very last character that we're going to be preparing for today. And then I'm going to close out the stream, and we will come back next week ready to start actually outlining how this story is going to roll. Now, just because I outline a story doesn't mean that it's going to stick to the outline. Quite often, I think I know where things are going to go, and then I actually start writing, and the characters decide to do things I never expected them to do, and they don't ask my permission for it either. They just do. And so I've learned to just get out of their way and let them do what they're going to do. I joked that one of the ways, if you really want to understand what it's like to be God, start writing fiction. Because if you're doing it right, your characters will take over. They will make decisions you never gave them permission to make. They will do things you never asked them to do. And you will end up in a place you never expected to be with them. But the good news about that is if it surprises you, it's going to surprise your readers. So that's why I say just let them do what they're going to do. Mistake. Thinking he can trick people into helping him. Prepare. Truth. He'd get more by being honest. Oh, Randy says I need a monkey in the story. Oh, he says a monkey or a cat. Yes, characters will take over. And they often do. Yeah. Let's see. What is his solution? Eek, eek, said the panda. Maybe. Maybe the problem is that he's been preparing. Maybe the problem is he's been feeding a monkey and not preparing the house for winter, right? Now let's see. Yeah, he isn't aware of how many other people are struggling too. Doesn't. We have built short character arcs, Malachi. For this is the 9th character, so that's how far we've come. I mean, if you take a look at it, we've got the big story arc up here, right here, and then these little character story arcs. Each person is going to have their own story that they're working through. We've got 9 of them, so that's actually a pretty substantial amount of story modeling we've got. Let's see. Yeah, in a relatively short time. I mean, we started this at 2 and it's almost 4 now, so that's 2 hours. And a lot of story content we've already kind of gotten. that is the final character arc. Now, next week we'll come back to writing and chilling. We will take these characters and we will kind of plot out how we're going to plug in these problems, where they're going to encounter them, how they're going to show up in the story, and then we can get started with the real writing. I want to thank you guys for coming out and for being part of this story and for writing and chat. I guess I could call it writing and chatting, which is what it is. For being part of writing and chatting this week. It's been fun, and I hope that you've seen a process that maybe you can put to use in your own life to think through the problems that you're facing and come up with ideas for how you're going to solve those. And just remember that every problem does in fact have a solution. And if you've got 99 problems, things to write about isn't one of them. Thanks for watching. And I will see you on the next stream. My next stream is going to be on Monday at 6:30 p.m. I will be doing drawing and chilling. Again, we'll be working on our angel. If you would like to contribute, I will be putting links in the description if I don't already have them in there that you can use to donate. And anything you can contribute to our fund helps, but don't feel like you got to knock yourself out. I wish you'd participated more, but I will make a note. Oh yes, I got to make a note about the Ubi requires a cat or a monkey. Please note Ubi's problem. Maybe we'll add both. Maybe the cat or the monkey becomes a mascot. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe that's how they get people to show up to the virtual. There we go. One final thing going in there. We will drop this at the end. It's outside the scope of my normal, but that's okay. There we go. Yay! Dun, 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 dun. And like I said, I will be having my art stream Monday at 6:30, right before Ubi's stream starts at 8 p.m. Central Standard. So see us there. We love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. I hope you had a good time. This has been a fantastic Saturday, and I'm really glad you joined me for the adventure.